cloud now. Okay, here we go. Well, thanks everybody for joining. Sorry again, I'm a little bit late here. I was having some issues logging in, but let me share my screen and we'll get started. So today is Fireside Chat number 242. We are very excited to have David Kim back. He did a fantastic job a couple of weeks ago talking about AI basics 101, 201, 301, as well as security. So he's going to be getting into part two today, and you got to be all ears. He is just a great speaker, great uh, add to the SCTC family for his knowledge. And again, David, welcome.
Right.
No problem. Don't forget to send me the check later, okay?
Yeah. Alyssa.
It's in the mail.
It's in the mail, right? Okay. Two quick polling questions. These are multiple choice, the both of them. And this one is, what is the key issue related to AI listening technology and user control? Okay, you get to pick two: ensuring AI understands the intent accurately, the possibility of biased decision making, determining who is responsible for the actions, or protecting sensitive data. Please vote. Or other. Actually, there's an other. And if you answer other, you have to speak up and let us know what the other might be. And these might be good for you too, David, today as we go through this. And Fran, please take a snapshot as you always do.
You got it.
Thank you. So I don't know about everybody, but we do not have rain for the first time in like, I can't tell you when. Actually, not even any clouds for the first time in 6 or 7 weeks here in the New York area. It's crazy. So, okay, thank you everybody. So let me end the poll. And there was one person that voted for not for others, so I will call on you, but here's the results. The winner here is protecting sensitive data, followed by number one, ensuring AI understands user intent, the accuracy, of course, followed by number two, biased decision making, and followed by number three, who is responsible for the first action. So who wants to speak up on the other, please?
This is John.
Okay, John.
I was just talking with David Kim, and he will no doubt underscore the fact that there is no legislation to control what's going on in the AI space.
Yeah, yeah. It's the Wild Wild West, as they say, right?
That's a bad other.
That's a bad other, yes. Agreed. Okay. Well, thanks for that, John. That was great. Okay, let me give you the other question. This is more of an ethics question. Again, multiple choice, top two, please. Based upon your ethical considerations related to AI, what could be potential risk of AI? Number one, overly complex. Number two, lack of transparency. Number three, difficult of integrating with other systems. Four, limited access to the technology, or other. Please vote for your top two. And John Glover, how's the weather over in Vancouver area on your island there today?
It's overcast, but no rain. Mike has rain. We don't have rain.
Okay.
Not supposed to have any rain.
Who knew, right? And Fran, how about Foco, Colorado?
Nice and sunny here today, Steve. It's gorgeous.
Beautiful, beautiful. Even that, right? You haven't had that much. You've had a lot of rain too, I think, right? If I'm
We've
not
had a lot of
mistaken.
rain. Yeah, we still have the ski season going on up in the mountains too, and they may extend it to the middle of the month.
Holy cow, that's crazy. Did they open up the national park yet?
Yes, it opened this weekend. You can
Okay,
drive
yeah.
all over.
Because I got there the week before last year, and so we were able to drive 3 miles and we had to turn around. We never got up into the mountains. So,
The snow is still 6 feet on the sides, but you can drive over.
okay. Wow, that's crazy. Okay, so thank you everybody for voting. Again, I have one other. I will share the results here. So the vast majority are number two, lack of transparency, followed by number three, difficulty integrating with existing systems. We are seeing that. Uh, Followed by number one, becoming more complex. No votes on limited access. That's interesting. And one other. Does anybody want to share the other? Okay. So stop sharing and I will exit out of here. Thank you everybody for sharing that. So a big thank you to Alan Ranger, who did VP of Marketing, of course, who did a great job last week talking about agentic AI and why it's so hot. Had some great examples of some customer stories of Cognigy. He did it really more for educational purposes, but boy, the traction, excuse me, that they are seeing as a conversational AI is kind of over the top. They're they're very, very busy and very engaging. So, famous quote. This one's a big one. To place a man in a multi-stage rocket and projecting him into a controlling gravitational field of the moon where the passengers can make scientific observations, perhaps land alive, and then return to Earth. All of that constitutes a wild dream worthy of Jules Verne. I am bold enough to say that such a man-made voyage will never occur, regardless of all future advances. Does anybody want to guess who that could have been? It was Lee DeForest, who was not only a radio pioneer, but he was the inventor of the vacuum tube, which we still use in select guitar amplifiers to this day. But in 2025, believe it or not, 100 years, almost 100 years later, right, Chuck?
There,
I don't have.
I got the tube amps.
Yeah.
And Russian tubes are the best.
They are, exactly. They sound the best. It's amazing. Okay, so again, we're featuring David this week. Again, hold on to your hats. He's got some great content. We are continuing our membership drive through the end of the month. Mike will share some numbers shortly. I won't give away his numbers here, but we are advancing and expanding every day. We're very fortunate to have Fran Blackburn helping with a lot of the recruitment these days, and she's killing it, for lack of a better word. Thank you, Fran. So again, 50% growth in 2025 to 150 consultants. Okay, with the understanding that the winner gets a free pass to the fall conference valued at $795. Definitely worth pursuing. Also, by the way, as of this morning, I'm just waiting for an update. We do have an talking points from Dave Michaels. It's literally a 7 to 8 page newsletter with at least 8,000 words worth of content every month. Is out as of today for all SCTC members. If you're not a member, unless you're subscribing to it for $600 a year, you cannot get access to this particular newsletter. So it just came out this morning. I'm just waiting for Dave to get me a small update on that, and it will go out to all of the members hopefully later today. Okay. Just something to think about. And Chuck, you remember, oh yeah, no, I just shared it. Yeah, it's worth like $600 a year for all SCTC members. Okay. And that's part of your membership benefits, if you will. Okay, Dave Clardy, are you on? I think you're in Italy, if I'm not mistaken. And if he's not on, that's the reason why. And so, Mike, I'll hand the microphone over to you.
Hey, good morning, good afternoon, everybody. Glad you're here today. Looking forward to David's talk today. I will share that our recruitment is doing wonderful. We have got analysts and consultants. We have 114 total members now, a huge 40+ increase in our membership since October of 2024, and a great team working together to build that and continuing to our 150 member goal. So look forward to that. Want to let everybody know the back gold speaking.
Keep going. Sorry, I gotta find it.
VAC Gold speaking slots end July 1. So VAC members, get your gold members, get your speaking slots for the annual conference. Annual conferences, we've got all of our consultants speaking slots and sessions done with the conference committee. So the agenda will be working on the agenda this week. So look forward to that here in the next week or so. And don't forget to register for the conference. It's all open, and we look forward to seeing you in October. Thanks.
Thank you, Mike. And it's a great place, and we're going to have a lot of fun, and the content's going to be really second to none. I've seen that consistently over the years. So thanks for that. So David, I'm going to stop the share, and I'm going to give it over to you.
Thank you. Should be able to see my screen.
Yes, we can.
All right, folks. No time for review, but in my previous session, we focused on just the core foundation of what is artificial intelligence, what is machine learning, what do we mean by natural language processing, conversational AI, You've been seeing various AI-oriented fireside chats in the last couple of weeks. And, my experience has been, holy cow, this is a poke in my eye, because I'm the guy that does the annual HIPAA compliance or the annual PCI compliance assessments or the annual IT security risk assessments. And unfortunately, the deeper I started to dig in relation to UCAS and virtual contact centers and what's going on with that audio recorded message, and where does that audio wave file actually go? So this was an eye-opening experience for me, and unfortunately, I ended up poking myself in the eye, because I started to filter out and find, well, where is all this regulated data sitting in an audio wave file inside of someone's cloud infrastructure? I had to break it down to that level. So when we think about AI, it's really omnipresent, whether we like it or not, especially with no laws, no regulation, it's here. So what can we do to mitigate these risks and threats is really the crux of our presentation, okay? So it all starts, believe it or not, with this thing called AI governance. Now, this, believe it or not, is
Brussels aren't as good today.
yeah, perfect. So
They usually have more flavor.
in relation to what I have experienced for publicly traded companies, this AI governance is somewhere between the boardroom and the governance CXX layer. Okay, it's usually the CXX level humans with a interface to the board. If they're a publicly traded company, if they're SLED, public sector, you're going to see this at the CXX level, CEO, administrator, executive level, because that's where the critical business decisions have to be made. This is a critical business decision that has to be made at the top. This is not a director of IT, director of telecom business decision, okay? So when you look at the building blocks of governance, particularly AI, the traditional ink on white paper stuff, policies, procedures, some type of approval process for allowing internal Gen AI apps is no different from a regular application that the IT department has to vet and review before you allow it to become an application standard in your organization. Same thing with Gen AI apps. Unfortunately, because of the smartphone and people downloading and installing every Tom, Dick, and Harry Gen AI app that they want on their smartphone, it's because they own the smartphone, BYOD. So that's the convergence of Gen AI use hitting the IT infrastructure, and there's no cohesive alignment, okay? So the second part here is data management. That's probably the most important part here. And poll survey question number one kind of honed in on it, but you really need a data lifecycle management process and function, particularly if you've got regulated data, sensitive data. You got people calling into a healthcare call center. They're blasting out medical record numbers, private PII data, medical protected healthcare information. All that stuff's being audio recorded by the UCAS or the virtual contact center, and it's ending up in an audio WAV file. Now that WAV file is a piece of data that's got regulated data in it. Okay, that's the data management piece I'm talking about. Risk management now has to be part of the equation, particularly if you're doing risk assessments of UCAS systems, virtual contact centers. It's just an extension of the IT infrastructure, but now we got that regulated data, that WAV file sitting somewhere in a vendor's cloud infrastructure. The transparency ethics we mentioned this morning in a little chat, but there are no laws yet, ladies and gentlemen, for transparency, explainability, ethics. So yeah, you use a Gen AI app and you read that privacy policy statement and you read their disclaimer statement, you're basically going to find out that you're on your own. Whatever you type in that 3-inch by 6-inch chatbot or Gen AI front end, you're on your own. And whatever data that comes back out, that vendor is like a EULA agreement, end user licensing agreement. They're limiting their liability to the cost of the software app, $12 in some cases. Okay, so you have to really look at what are our employees and workforce doing with these AI apps and how are we going to integrate it into our workflows. That's the most important part here. I'm going to integrate it into our business workflows. Accountability means we're now addressing these things, roles, responsibilities. You may have to have workforce sanctions, particularly if you're under privacy laws like HIPAA privacy rule. So depending on your organization and what regulatory animals you must comply with, this accountability thing can go pretty deep. Development integration is now part of this whole AI ecosystem. And part of that is now training the workforce, making sure we know where the secure data containers are. If we've got WAV files, recorded audio messages sitting in the UCAS or a virtual contact center, we as security ops or IT, we got to pull those files down, pull them out of that cloud infrastructure and put them into a secure data container on our IT infrastructure. Okay, now we can manipulate those WAV files and do whatever we want with those, but that's got to be part of your monthly or weekly standard operating procedures. And lastly, compliance. Okay, regulatory compliant organizations, HIPAA for healthcare, PCI if they're accepting credit card transaction processing payments over the phone, even with customer service delivery. So a lot of these compliance things are going to start impacting how you service communication infrastructures for all of these regulated environments. Okay, that's our AI governance wheel of fortune. Now, when you have AI data governance, this is taking it one step deeper. Okay, so why do we need AI data governance? Well, the first part is if you've got unaware users, untrained workforce, they're using that smartphone and doing whatever the hell they want, and you don't know what they're doing with it. If you do not blacklist Gen AI apps and LLMs at your firewall, your users at their desktop workstations are hitting Gen AI apps through the internet access using your IT assets and your IT infrastructure. Okay, no AI governance. You got your departments are unleashed. They're looking at tools like marketing is looking at marketing AI tools. Sales is looking at sales efficiency tools. Everybody is looking at an AI tool to see how it can increase their productivity and efficiency. The problem with that is we don't really have proper AI data governance. And now the possibility of data leakage or lost intellectual property is a possibility here. Even if those Gen AI apps say, oh, we're in inference mode, we do not capture your data, then why do they shoot up the error message saying, are you sure you want to upload that PDF document? Okay, it still shoots a banner error message, warning message telling you, are you sure you want to upload that spreadsheet or that PDF document? Well, you just told me you're in inference mode. Okay, why do I care? It's because some of these Gen AI apps are partially in inference mode. And you have to read the really fine print in some of these privacy policy statements because it will indicate that. Part 5 here, regulated data, private data could possibly be data ingested. And now all of a sudden, we just extended our regulatory compliance domain and we just leaked regulated data. Hence the need for AI data governance, right? Well, when you look at the components and building blocks of AI data governance, and even us in the telco, telecom, UCAS, virtual contact center arena, to us, that audio WAV file now that's got the social security number, the credit card number, the medical record number, or the financial checking account number, that's regulated data, folks. And we don't care if it's on a WAV file now because that's a piece of data. So we have to treat that WAV file now just like any other piece of data. It's got a data owner, okay? Data sources, data sets, feeds to us in the telecom world. That's the voice over IP, the audio recorded message, the UCAS or the virtual contact center WAV file. Some of these systems generate a .wav file or an MP4 WAV file, okay? So that's kind of what's going on with these different data sources, data sets, and feeds. That's probably the first question I ask these my clients and their vendors, like, okay, what do you got? You got 5.9, you got nice, what do you got? Because the most important question I gotta ask is what kind of format is the audio WAV file and the data in? And can we change it to MP4 if we want to? Or is there a way to pull the audio recorded messages out of your UCaaS virtual contact center through an API interface. So it's encrypted and I can pull down these log and WAV file messages on a weekly or monthly basis. Okay. Most of these vendors are not in the cloud storage business. They want you to pull the audio recorded messages down. Okay. So you got to examine where is all this data and all the audio WAV files going. Data owners. So now you have these data owners called virtual contact center system administrators for NICE or Five9 or whatever vendor you've got, right? They're the data owners, but now they're the ones that have to figure out, well, where are these audio recorded messages? The thing that's going to bite you in the butt potentially are the log files that these virtual phone systems, UCaaS systems, and virtual contact systems, they have a channel for logging. And these are system logs and messages going between the platform and endpoints. Those log files could very well also have unencrypted WAV file audio recorded messages in a log file. So I had to start digging deeper into the system logs where you have to turn them off or redirect that log to a different secure data container through an API interface because there's WAV files with PII, credit card, or medical record information in the actual log file. So that's where we get into data integrity and data security, okay? Now, all of a sudden, I got to figure out how to encrypt the WAV file, or where can I put it into a secure data container so now I at least can continuously monitor that. Compliance, it got much more complicated as AI ecosystems, chat bots, Gen AI apps, front-ending websites in front of UCaaS and virtual contact centers now all of a sudden my AI ecosystem and my compliance domain just got bigger, okay? And now we have to look at data in a WAV file, figuring out how to secure that. Starts with policies, procedures, standards, and guidelines, and what I call a data lifecycle management plan. And this is how we're going to not only secure the data, but how do you maintain privacy? And this introduces a completely different business challenge because how do you maintain the privacy rights of your patients, your financial customers, your data subject customers? How do you maintain their privacy if now you got 10,000 audio recorded messages with their name and social security number in that WAV file? That's a complex animal.
Mm.
AI transformation with AI governance and AI data governance now is going to look like this. This is what it would look like. I've got aware users in the workforce now because I've got an AI acceptable use policy, perhaps. I've got security awareness training, but I also have AI security and privacy awareness training. That's the only way to get this, the humans in the workforce aligned to your AI governance and AI data governance structure, okay? So with AI governance in place, our environment is much more secure. We've got more aware users. And then number 4, wouldn't it be nice if we had an AI data governance gatekeeper function? And this is where we can anonymize, redact, de-identify, or tag/tokenize the regulated data. Now, this is something where we now need visibility and observability. One of the first things I ask my client for when we do one of these AI risk assessments is, well, give me your last 90 days worth of firewall logs, and I want to see what your workforce is using Gen AI app-wise, okay? Just ask your client or tell them to generate a Gen AI firewall log report over the last 90 days. And I guarantee you in that 90 days, you will see every Gen AI app that every employee is hitting, okay? Some of them are hosted in the United States. Some of them are not hosted in the United States. When you look at my pink and my red arrow up here in the upper right-hand corner, now you're also looking at the byte count. Byte counts out, byte counts in. That's going to give you an idea of, are people ingesting data into these open public Gen AI apps and LLMs? That's part of this observability and visibility piece, and that can help you with your overall AI governance, AI data governance strategy. All right?
Cool.
All right. Let me pause and catch my breath here. But the reality of AI, folks, is that it's the most disruptive technology because it hits people, process, and technology. Okay? It's the only thing I've ever witnessed in my 38 years since post AT&T divestiture that touches everything: people, process, and technology. Okay, and on the people side, we're looking at job task transformation. You know, I've integrated AI tools and apps into my business and personal life. Okay, and it's allowing me to do 2, 3, 4 things from a multitasking perspective. Okay, but there are ethical and privacy concerns. Okay, when I look at process efficiencies, workflow efficiencies, geez, yeah, AI is great for analytics, acting as a giant calculator, fraud detection, because it can look for anomalies really fast. So it's really good at process procedure stuff. And then lastly, in technologies, well, it's the only thing in innovation that accelerates new ideas, adapting AI enablement to mundane workflows and manual processes. That's kind of where everything's moving towards. And in cybersecurity, you're seeing AI enablement in security operations, threat analysis, and it's doing threat analysis much faster than a security operations center human can do it. Okay, so you're seeing AI touch people, process, and technology, all sides of the triangle. Now, here's what I use a distinction between front office and back office. Everyone on this call pretty much lives in the front office realm of telecommunications, voice communications, you know, UCaaS, virtual contact centers. It's all about that front office, that image. How do you present yourself to the customers and your prospects on the World Wide Web with an internet web page, as well as with an 800 number, accepting inbound phone calls? Okay. Nowadays, it's all direct email, social media marketing, and digital media marketing. You know how they get a new prospect? They shoot you a coupon for 10 or 20, 15% off, right? And they ask you for your email address and your phone number so that they can hit you with email and cell phone text messages, right? Then you get that 10 to 15% free coupon, if you will, to go buy something now by clicking onto their website, right? So that's how companies are capturing CRM on the front line using these social media marketing tools, text messages, omni-channel communications, because from baby boomer to retiree, all the way down to the Z Gen, Y Gen, millennials, you name it, every human from a different age bracket perspective communicates differently. Okay, so you got to adapt to how these different humans communicate differently. And building that customer service delivery method kind of means omni-channel. Most of you know omni-channel. I don't care what communication method you use, we'll support all of them. And that's where a lot of companies are now looking at creating that lowest common denominator customer interface, if you will, for that front office communication capability. Okay. On the back office, this is where the back office, where we're actually inside our operational departments. Okay. Sales and marketing, accounting, financing, ops, manufacturing, supply chain, IT, those are the back office things where AI enablement is now doing something specific to sales and marketing, something specific to shipping logistics, something specific to looking for fraud detection and credit card payments. Okay, it's like acting as a calculator unique to solve a departmental function. Okay, just like front office is solving the customer interface, customer experience business problem. Right? How do we service our clients 24/7 by 365? Light up a virtual assistant chatbot. All those baby boomers and people are in bed by 9, 10 o'clock, but all the millennials and Y Gen, Z Gens, they're up to all night doing their payments of bills, doing their, I need to do this on my account for insurance, whatever it is that they need to do, 24/7 by 365. Front office communication challenges. You guys have been doing this since divestiture, but communication business challenges are no different. Inefficient communications, cumbersome workflows, right? It's all about that. How do you build the right call tree and workflow to maximize that customer experience without delay, right? And that's why we got to build and eliminate bottlenecks, have KPIs and metrics so we can measure ourselves, actually measure how are we doing with our call response and our customer satisfaction to create that customer experience, right? So solving these business challenges is not new, but bringing in AI and enablement is what's new, okay? And how and where are we going to do that? Well, disjointed customer provided communications are too dependent on a live human. Yeah, well, guess what? Now we can inject AI bots, AI virtual assistants, and help streamline some of that front end bottlenecking, right? Customer provided processes, inefficient workflows, streamline workflows, remove bottlenecks. This is like when you go to the your doctor appointment. You want to have all that paperwork filled in a week before you even walk yourself into that doctor office, right? Why? Because otherwise you'll be sitting in the doctor's office with a clipboard filling in 10 pieces of paper. That will kill a doctor's office workflow by eliminating new patients, and all of a sudden the workflow is 1 hour behind schedule. So you got to automate all those kinds of things, trigger an automatic generated email to that healthcare patient who's coming in next week, get them to fill in the paperwork now. And that way, when they walk into that office, they're ready to rock. Customer intake process is slow. And that's what we mean by automating and streamlining that. Okay. Going to a car dealership to have your car serviced, same thing. Why can't I do my paperwork online, DocuSign it, and just drop the car off with the key? I want to automate and streamline how I do customer intaking. The bottlenecks, same thing. If we can identify the bottlenecks, gee, maybe that's where we need to put an intelligent virtual assistant to get rid of that bottleneck and start call routing those calls. And with no,
Hey,
yes, sir.
David, just to interrupt you real quick. I had a situation where I had to drop my car off the other day at an Acura dealer out of hours, and I had to fill in this form with the key, the VIN number,
Yeah, I
the
hate
year
that.
of the car. Oh my God. It was just like it took me 20 minutes to figure it out, Not
Yeah,
figure it out.
but on a positive side, my dealership actually had an online form. I click on what I want service-wise. They calculate the price. I punch the number, I agree, and a DocuSign PDF came back. And I never had to talk to a human. I just dropped it off, left the key, picked it up, and I paid online. Okay. So yeah, that's an example of eliminating a cumbersome workflow. Added my automotive dealership. I mean, think about it. That just saves time and money. Okay. Better self-service, more AI. And these are polls and survey instruments I pulled off the World Wide Web. Actually, I think I pulled these statistics right off of NICE's website or Five9's website, but they've done studies. And the younger the human, the less they use the phone, ladies and gentlemen. It's as simple as that. And the more self-service you can integrate into your customer interface and your customer interaction for the self-service consumer, that's what drives them and makes them happy. Okay. They don't want to talk to you or a customer service human unless there's a problem that can't be solved. Okay. But anyway, that's kind of what's going on with the shift in how humans like to communicate. Old school customer interface, customer experience with an automated attendant, an IVR with a DTMF touch tone phone, ladies and gentlemen. This is what I think most of us grew up with in the 80s and 90s and early 2000s, but this is kind of how they did automated attendant. You get that caller ID captured. Remember, caller ID, DID, it can be spoofed now. Hackers can spoof a DID number with a piece of software that's free. So caller ID, SMS text messaging for multi-factor authentication. I am not allowing my customers to use those features anymore. Okay. IVR customer menu, nothing new here. You press 1 for this, press 2 for that, press 3 for this. And you get yourself call routed by going through a self-service menu. If there's an API to a CRM, it'll automatically look who you are based on your caller ID number, right? Then you can just push 1 or 2 to pay your bill. It's already got your ACH checking account number and routing number. So you just push 2 to pay the bill, right? It's all automated. And then you get an auto-generated receipt via email if that's what you want. So call routing will get you to that live agent human. This is all nothing new. We've been doing this stuff for years, right? And we already know the pros and the cons about this traditional automated attendant IVR, but you're limited to voice communications and you're limited to caller ID functionality, okay? Now, you integrate this thing called an intelligent virtual agent. I think last week's fireside, you guys got a good taste of this whole conversational AI, natural language processing thing. It's a piece of software, folks, that reacts to what the human types in, right? So it reacts to what's typed in. And that's where the conversational AI, natural language processing capability of AI comes into place, okay? And when you look at these 4 AI building blocks, but you know, the intent, the action, the knowledge, and the outcome, those are the contextual responses. And depending on the type of company you are, and depending on your customer service scope, you can have 10,000 responses to one query or one response, depending on what the algorithm tells you to do and how the algorithm with conversational AI can pick up on the emotions of the consumer. If the AI conversational natural language processing can pick up the nasty word that just came out of the consumer who typed it in, right? You can pretty much tell real quick if the consumer is happy or not just by what they type in there. So that emotional empathy and reaction in conversational AI, you're going to see a lot of that in healthcare, where you know you're calling the ICU or the cancer ward. You're going to see conversational AI with emotional soft language. You know, I already see hospitals doing it. So depending on who you are, what department you're calling, and what the reason you're calling it, you're going to see natural language processing, conversational AI mold itself in and around who the profile of the caller is. Okay. And that's an interesting concept of profiling the inbound caller. And if you can profile and categorize them, then you can have 10,000 responses to each of the different profiles. Okay. So that's what we mean by responsible AI, by having proper chatbot guardrails and boundaries defined. Again, there's no laws here. So you're at the mercy of the vendor doing this, okay? Embedded AI, now we have to embed virtual contact center apps into UCaaS virtual contact centers. It's already been embedded, folks. One of the best things I see embedded is the AI CDR analytics module. And that module is taking a look at all of the call detail recordings, all of the inbound and outbound calls, and AI tools now are doing greater, deeper analysis of the CDR itself, okay? More importantly, when I think about practical AI and engine agnostic, you're gonna see these vendors, NICE, Five9, some of these vendors, they're engine LLM agnostic. What does that mean? It means they might actually connect to 4 or 5 public Gen AI LLMs. But these are private instances of ChatGPT, OpenAI stuff, right? These are private instances that these vendors put behind the firewall in their own cloud IT infrastructure, okay? And then they turn that LLM on for their customers who want to use it, okay? So you're getting a partition of that LLM if you buy the AI module capability with UCaaS or virtual contact center, okay? Streamlining user workflows with automated intelligent virtual assistants. I know most of you have done call trees, workflow analysis, inbound calling, how all that works, going to different departments, how the transfer call trees work, going sideways to different departments. But now your workflows are different because you can automate some of these workflows, right? And just showing you a legend here, but the blue box means I got a chatbot with website links only, okay? A chatbot with website links only means it's a dumb virtual assistant, and there's no Gen AI LLM intelligence in there. You type something in there, that thing's going to react to it. And if it doesn't know what it is, it says, I don't understand you. But if it does know what it is, it will respond with one of the canned responses inside that chatbot itself, okay? So here you might see a user wants information as soon as possible. You go to the website, there's a chatbot like on Amazon. It's called Rufus. You log into your Amazon account, there's a Rufus button, you click on Rufus, and now all of a sudden it's providing you with self-service options, okay? And in some cases, you can do your own changing of an appointment, paying of your bill, ask for service, whatever it is that you're trying to do, but it's an IVA self-service menu system that you're now inventing. So you're creating that workflow with these blue boxes. Same thing with the red boxes. I'm a hyper OCD sensitive consumer. I don't want a virtual assistant. I want to talk to a live agent. I don't care how do I get to it. I just want to get to a live agent. Well, that's the red box, and you don't want to wait. You just want to get to the live agent as soon as possible. And that's a frustrated user. They don't know what to do. This is like me. I'm a baby boomer user, and sometimes I just get lost in some of these online systems. So now we're going to walk them through common options to learn the choices. You're all doing that with the live agent, but you have to do it during business hours, folks, because you're not going to talk to someone at 11 p.m., right? They're not there. And it's a lot cheaper now to turn on an IVA than to outsource this to India. I just did an analysis of that for some large call centers, and that cost structure is going away, folks. It's all coming back to the US with IVAs, pieces of software. And there you can see how I analyze workflows. Here's a green one with KPIs, metrics to confirm that ROI, drive customers to use the IVA and self-service. So you're going to look at how you're going to improve your workflows, your KPIs, your metrics, right? If there's a bottleneck, slam an IVA in there perhaps, or redirect those calls to more live agents when you need them, right? So you got to just basically look at the CDR, look at the bottlenecks, look at traffic volumes, analyze what the recorded messages are doing, how long does it take to respond to the recorded message. All this stuff has to be part of your overall analysis. And when I started doing these workflow analyses, ladies and gentlemen, this is when I started poking myself in the eye, because now I realized every one of these boxes had a piece of regulated data in it. Okay. And some of these boxes had 3 or 4 pieces of regulated data. Like a healthcare one, I had audio messages that had medical record number, PII, PHI, protected healthcare information, and credit card information, all in one recording. So what on earth, how are you going to parse that out? Okay. And there's a way to parse that out. All right. Look at
let me pause for a quick second, David. I mean, there's so much going on.
All right.
Right? If you had to share with the group here in general, how do we best, and this is okay if
but I needed to know if I needed to go by Safeway and get anything.
Okay, thank you very much, whoever just said that.
Huh?
Hold on a second. Okay.
Okay.
Got it.
I just thought.
Okay, sorry, I got it. Anyway, so here's my question. Knowing how complex this is, and we only have less than an hour to even share all of this data, what's a 1 or 2 sentence statement you could say to us in terms of how do we, how do we get into not AI, but how do we understand all this, or how do we counsel clients on all this? There's just so much to learn here,
The only way, one of the things I've done, Stephen, and maybe you guys need to do it too. I got into the governance room with the CXX level humans, and I played for them a sampling of the audio recorded messages that come from their customers. Just a couple of samples, right? When I played that, and then they realized, you mean to tell me I have 100,000 audio recorded stored messages coming inbound every month, and I got 1.2 million of them sitting in someone's cloud infrastructure, and it's encrypted? That opened their eyeballs when they found that out. That's when I told them, look, you don't want to leave that WAV file in there. You're going to download them every month as part of your monthly procedure. Okay. You're going to turn off that back channel logging capability in these systems, unless they know how to encrypt it. Okay. Then once you start locking down all the systems, you have to do a third-party vendor risk assessment of the thing that the customer's buying. So that's what I started to do with UCAS, with Five9, NICE. I started to do with third-party vendor risk assessment of their platforms, okay? Ask them the 64 questions. Have them show me their SOC 2 Type 1 certification report. Have them show me their ISO 27001 certification report, okay? Then I asked them, well, the best thing I can share with the groups is we're running out of time again, but you know, I started pulling those 100,000 audio recorded messages, and I have a client that's very interested in taking those audio WAV files, 100,000 of them, okay? And then we're going to train a private enclave LLM and push those 100,000 audio WAV messages in there. You know why I'm putting it in there? Because it can transcribe speech to text. So I take every one of those 100,000 audio WAV files, and now it's a text file. I got 100,000 text files now. Then I shoot that text file through my AI data governance app, and it takes out every PII. It masks out 16-digit credit card numbers down to the last 4 digit. It masks out social security numbers down to the last. It does all these things to get your data ready. Once you clean up the data and the audio WAV files, now you can keep those transcribed audio messages because, you know, for legal reasons, some businesses have to keep it, right? So you have to keep it, but at least you got a clean data redacted copy of it. Now you can manipulate it. Now you can shoot it into a Gen AI app. Now you can do all these other things. So that's probably the number one thing I would recommend all you folks start looking at is how do I take my customers' 100,000 audio recorded messages? What do I do with them? And
Yeah.
I'm telling you right now, speech to text transcription is one of the best thing that works with these tools. And now the same Gen AI LLM, you put those 100,000 transcripted text files up there, now you can ask it analytical questions. How many disgruntled customers did I have this month? What was the primary indicator of why they were disgruntled? How could I have averted losing the customer from a data retention capability by addressing what pissed them off in the first place? So now all of a sudden I got my AI engine telling me what the secret recipe is to retain that client. Why did I lose that client? Now you can ask all kinds of analytical questions of those 100,000 calls coming in. That's the beauty of AI, folks, because now you've got visibility, observability into the actual 100,000 inbound calls. And now you can analyze how many of them were happy, how many of them were upset, how many customers did we actually lose last month? Okay, that type of analytics at your fingertips for our customer service people, they don't have that now. And that's where you're really going to make a big difference with people process.
Mm-hmm. Well said.
Well, I do have some really cool slides, but I think we're almost out of time. But these slides,
Yeah, we got 3 minutes.
these slides kind of depict for you what I'm talking about.
Well, we can have you on for part 3. You know, we just need to schedule that. That's all.
Okay, but you're looking at the workflow that I was just describing here. And notice how the chatbot is now in between the live agent and that human. But remember, that humans, the Y Gen, Z Gen, Millennial, they like using this. They don't want to talk to you at 10 o'clock at night. They want to do self-service. But that's kind of showing you what's going on here. And I always put that little red asterisk, folks. SMS texting is unencrypted and it's already been compromised. Okay. This shows you what goes on with conversational AI and CRM integration, because as soon as you start conversational AI with that intelligent virtual assistant, okay, it hones in on you. Oh, it's John Doe, customer number 123. He's a VIP customer with CRM integration. I better get him to a live agent immediately, right? And that's kind of what happens here when AI jumps in to analyze, well, who am I talking to, okay? And there's a speech to text transcription thing I was talking about. But this, I got a customer right now looking to do this, and they want to analyze their 100,000 inbound calls in a much deeper, granular capacity with natural language processing and the ability to implement conversational AI. Okay, but that's what's going on here with speech to text transcription. compliance, security, privacy concern, this is where I live, folks. This is what I do. And this is what I like poke in the eye, because I was not familiar with these UCaaS VCC infrastructures in the cloud until this year. And as I started to dig deeper and deeper, I realized, holy cow, the client has to extend their domain of compliance to include everything in that UCaaS or virtual contact center. That's why I like pulling the audio WAV files out of there to help shrink the domain of regulatory compliance. You know, I don't want to deal with the third-party vendor. I want to deal with our stuff alone. Okay. All right. But those audio files has a privacy component. Could be a WAV file, MP3, MP4. The log file.
So David, let's just do this, DK. Why don't we just pause here for a quick second? I'll look at a couple of weeks with you, but I'd love to have you on for a part 3. We can do some of the repetition on this. And if I'm not mistaken, you're going to be speaking at the Reno conference, correct?
I don't know yet because we haven't heard back from you.
Oh, yeah, you will be. Sorry, I already knew.
All right, so I can make it. I just can't make it on the.
I know, no, but that's, I just wanted to put a little bit of a plug in. If you want to meet David in person and get his autograph, okay? No, but actually hear what he has to say live. His info is great. Sorry, Lloyd has a quick question. Lloyd?
Yeah, my question is around, you're taking all these transcriptions and putting them up to a cloud for AI to analyze them.
No cloud. It's a private enclave that have customers building themselves behind the firewall.
So it's not going out to anything public.
I wouldn't let them do that. No.
Okay, because my concern was that if you're letting it go out to something public, then you're continuing to expose all that PII.
Private enclave. So I got the customer subscribing to an LLM model. You can buy your own enterprise version of these models and load it in your own cloud. Okay. So I got a customer doing that right now, and we're tweaking it and managing it and training it with their WAV files and transcriptions.
Okay. All
So
right. Thank you.
it's a closed, secure environment. I would never use an open public LLM.
But that's something that needs to be taken into consideration, because you get some clients that aren't fully aware of what we've been talking about that could potentially even further expose all their data.
I love my job, Lloyd.
And then, Bill, you have a quick question, right?
Yeah, I just want to say Dave's spot on, but that learning of the transcript data is actually a valuable asset to the business trying to build out their knowledge pool as well. Because you can script with AI that entire knowledge set to train your agentic agents to do all the natural language response and also all the actual interactions that are required as well. And it is required that you have to put it on-prem, because you need to get that data set and have it apply so you can work within milliseconds of response.
The data is going to be clean, and it's got to be trained
100%.
correctly, and otherwise you'll get bad data coming out. Yes. Okay. But it's a very interesting use of AI, ladies and gentlemen, that even I was like blown away. Like, holy cow. Because now all of a sudden, like Bill said, you can really understand what the customer's saying, what they're thinking, what makes them happy, what makes them unhappy.
Yeah.
And imagine if the governance layer and the board had that at their fingertips. They don't have it, but now they do. And that's how sales and marketing and customer service strategies can realign itself. Okay. And I think that's a secret sauce.
And David, I just want to add one more piece. We're talking about contact center compliance, but now we have all that back office transcription that's happening in the meeting space.
Yes.
They can leverage that as well to build out their internal work processes.
Yes, absolutely. That's what I call the back office AI transformation and enablement. And I see departments doing it now, like marketing, sales, supply chain. You know, everyone's doing something.
Well, great stuff. DK, you hit it out of the park once again. I didn't fall asleep. I'm actually totally energized. It's all your fault.
All right, ladies. Thank you.
It's all good. I just sent you an email real quick for another date. I've got some other dates as well. Okay. Well, thanks everybody for joining, and
Thanks, David.
we'll see you again. Thanks, David. This was awesome.
Take care, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.